So let's delve into some of these stories today with the Race's political panel tonight. Our panel is bringing in voices from the left and the right. Chip Franklin in blue, Eric Mitchell in red. So Eric here, RFK Jr., let's get back to him. He's going to make his selection tomorrow, we hear. And you kind of have two tracks discussed. Aaron Rodgers, the celebrity track, bring attention. Nicole Shanahan has a ton of money, maybe help fund the ballot access fight. Which is smarter?
I would go with Nicole Shanahan. It's hard to take. Why would you have Aaron Rodgers, who's still going to be playing quarterback for the Jets next season? As of today, that's what we're still hearing. So Nicole just makes sense when you're looking at the whole tech sector, right? There's a battle of making big tech the enemy. We're seeing it right now with the TikTok ban being discussed everywhere. Nicole makes more sense as RFK Jr. has ruffle feathers on both sides. It just makes sense and would stay with his tactics to continue to ruffle feathers and go with what voters are really looking for and have a voice that can answer that and still have a strong VP candidate in there. Aaron just seems to be a pop culture fit, and this one makes more sense to have Nicole Shanahan, who has that background in tech.
If you're advising this campaign, what are the attributes that he should be prioritizing in order to win voters? Which VP pick do you think actually has an impact swaying folks out there? Let's start with you, Eric.
Again, I'll stick with Nicole Shanahan just because she stays on topic. Aaron is controversial. He's a lightning rod when it comes to, we've seen him in everything from discussing the pandemic to issues going on at networks and everywhere else. It's a popular one, right? It's great to pick him, but that's not what wins presidencies, and it's also not what the country's looking for. If you take the pulse of the younger voter, they're looking for situations to be handled throughout there, not just what seems to be trendy right now. And right now, our country looks like we all have ADD issues because it's everywhere. They can't stay focused. One week it's the border, the next week it's TikTok. We need candidates that actually pay attention.
So, Chip, let me ask you this. Josie George was just reporting on this, and you're on the left. Democrats are mounting this legal campaign. They're doing, public relations and all this, but legal campaign to keep third-party candidates off the ballot. Is that not anti-democratic to take away options of voters?
Well, both sides have done it before. But look, obviously, I'm not sure that RFK Jr. hurts Democrats more than Republicans. And I think most people would agree. We're really not sure what percentage of vote. I think 5 is a very, very optimistic. And it's really how he's going to do in those swing states. Will he get enough votes to keep one of these guys from getting 270? If I were Trump, I'd want that then, and I would want him in the race, because I think if you think he's going to hurt Democrats, fine.
What do you want your team legally trying to keep alternatives, options for voters off of the ballot?
Well, I mean, we are a two-party system, and you have to get a certain amount of money in order to qualify and some popularity to qualify in these states. And if you want to make it a little more difficult, that's, if it's all within the legal framework of it, it doesn't really, let's talk about RFK Jr. for a second. He's a little nuts. Right? I mean, he's an anti-vax candidate. Trump and Biden both got vaccinated. Both of them support the idea that mRNA is a good thing. He's passing around rumors and let's be honest, just lies about vaccines, which are really dangerous. I mean, and this is, this part of this lives in the Republican Party too. So I'm thinking that if anybody's going to lose votes, and the vice presidential candidate doesn't matter, although Aaron Rodgers is an anti-vaxxer and he's insane as well. These are not traditional candidates, neither is Trump. But these aren't people dealing with issues in a serious manner.
But Chip, the reality is when we look at polling, he is pulling some weight when it comes to polls. So when we get down to it, bottom line, how much of a threat is he to independent voters that the Biden campaign is looking to sway? Could he pull similar numbers to a candidate like Ross Perot in 1992?
No, Ross Perot was a successful businessman who got a lot of credit. If you remember, he had rescued some hostages from Iran. He had some positive, flow going at the time. And he also had issues, of course, with, Stockdale and his vice presidential candidate. It's important, obviously, to have a discussion where all Americans are included. I just want to know what RFK Jr. brings to that discussion. I mean, and the flip side of that is I don't want a Republican coming in just to mess up Trump, although I think Trump is a clear and present danger to our democracy. I'm not looking for a game show. I'm looking for two qualified candidates that represent,
All right.
serious issues that Americans can make decisions
Except,
on. And
again, 63
their lives.
But 63% of Americans, Gallup finds, do want a third option, even if you don't. A lot of Americans, 2/3, do. But let's move to Ronna McDaniel. Eric, in the bite we just played, Chuck Todd, I mean, he made headlines and made waves internally, I'm sure, about the credibility of Ronna McDaniel. But, what should they do? Because there are two major parties, and maybe a lot of mainstream media do not like what the MAGAween has to say, but that is one of the two.
It's very true, and this is nothing new. Look at it. In the last 4 weeks, we've had big names talk to each other that you would never have thought of. Tucker Carlson, Chris Cuomo, Candace Owens has been heavy in the news. MSNBC is just trying to make an impact, and they go get a very impactful person, just like CNN has done with taking people from the Republican Party and putting them on there to give this other voice. Chuck Todd doing that, he didn't keep his opinion to himself. He said the quiet part out loud. And you know what? NBC made that decision for that hire. She is a voice. She did work for the party, and she could give insight into what goes on. Is it a good hire or a bad hire? I'm not here to say that. I don't think it's any of our jobs to decide that. It's for the American people to sit there and listen to the talking heads that are on our TV to give us insight in what's going on, because we're not there day to day. She had day to day running the RNC, and it's interesting to hear what opinion she will give. Just like it's the same thing on the other networks when you get somebody just like Tulsi Gabbard when she came over to Fox and was giving her opinions. Same thing.
Chip, I want to ask you, larger networks like NBC have been or appeared somewhat hesitant to put on voices more aligned with former President Trump, what he calls his Make America Great Again, his election slogan. And right now, the network appears to be, based on different reports, facing some internal pressure. Are there any voices on the Democratic side that may also have credibility issues? And, how can networks avoid some of those issues, especially at such a pivotal time in the 2024 elections?
Look, I'm old enough to remember Republicans that of some notoriety, the George Wills or the Pat Buchanans, who have been on MSNBC, and they've stated their opinions. Ronna McDaniel called the election rigged. She tried to push a slate of fake electors through to vote on January the 6th. This is not a normal Republican experience. This is not right versus left. This is insanity and questioning the bedrock of a democratic republic, the same thing that caused the riots on January the 6th. So this is not a normal situation, like bringing on somebody from the other side. I welcome that. I would love to debate Eric or anybody else on issues like this. But when you're talking about someone who says the election was fake and rigged and gets people to do what they did on January the 6th, it's dangerous. And so, I don't know, NBC is like all these other networks. They're all dying. To that point, Trump's right. They have some serious issues and serious problems. So they're probably thinking, well, maybe we could get some people on the right. It's really small brain thinking, and it's a mistake by NBC. Bring in other people. Bring in good Republicans. Bring in Jim Langford or somebody like that. Mike Gallagher needs a job.
Send me
Get
names.
These guys.
Okay. Send me names, because I want to hear a MAGA world Republican who you think works. I hear you, Mike Gallagher and some others. I think let's get that conversation going.
Because
Let's
they
keep it
denied
going.
the election.
Chip Franklin, Eric Mitchell, our political roundtable tonight. Thank you both. We appreciate it.
And coming